A specialized wedge that is the same length as a 7-iron? Weird, right? Hey guys, Tyson and Brady with Golf Ascending. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We upload golf content every week. And the reason you guys are probably here is because you've maybe purchased 1-length irons and you're like, wait, I need wedges too. And so you're probably wondering, is a 1-length wedge beneficial to have in progression with my 1-length set? So we're just gonna kind of talk about the benefits, what's weird, what's good about it, and just our overall experience. And Brady actually got his hands on this wedge in particular. It's the King Mim wedge. We do have a video on the 1-length irons as a whole. And so there are some specs that kind of go into play with 1-length irons, and it does go into the wedge. I'm not going to go into that specifically. Check that video out for that. But Brady, what are your thoughts and what are your experiences with this 7-iron wedge?
All right, yeah, like Tyson said, the 7-iron length wedge. Yes, it is long and it is kind of awkward when you first start to use a wedge like that because you're not used to that. And we're hoping that this video can help someone who did purchase single length or 1-length irons and make the decision of buying a wedge. I personally was playing the Titleist Vokies, and Tyson actually converted me to them, and I loved them. They felt so good. I felt like I had a lot of control, good spin, and so I didn't really want to let those go after I bought the 1-length irons, the F9s. But at one point, I decided the gaps weren't matching up. The gaps in my distances weren't matching up as well. And I also thought I kind of want to commit to the 1-length. I just want to see what it's like. I've heard great reviews on this particular wedge, the Cobra Mim, but I wanted to try it, so I got it. I didn't sell the Vokies yet because, again, I really like those, but I got it. Started chipping. Chipping was probably the weirdest thing when I started out playing with one of these wedges, because you'd think you're just so used to practicing with a normal size wedge, which is much shorter than this. But I gotta say, that actually shocked me. My first round I went out before I even practiced chipping on a chipping green, and I was chipping really well. I had a lot more control than I thought. Second thing, bunkers and bunker play. I was kind of nervous about the length of an iron like this in a bunker when you're trying to hop it up right onto the green. But I haven't seen any issues with a 1-length wedge doing that. Also, if I need to choke up a little bit, it works fine. Same with if you need a little bit less distance. Just like with any club, you can always choke up a little bit on the club. But the positive thing, or one of the big benefits, just the reason why someone would buy 1-length irons is for what? Consistency. And not having to think of your stance and changing so much with your golf swing. It should all be the same. And yes, when you do a full swing like this, it's like a 7-iron. It's like you're swinging a 7-iron that's going to go far, but surprisingly, with the 1-length wedge, with the way they're set up, the technology, the specs, it feels just like a wedge. When you hit it, it gets that height, it stops. So overall, I'm actually pretty pleased with the purchase. I currently only have a 56 degree, kind of my sand wedge, but I am considering buying the 60 because I think that could be a little bit nicer for when I want to get some flop shots and get a shot right over a bunker onto the green if I need to. But for now, it was a personal decision for me to actually stick with the 56 only because I really wanted to get used to the feel of that loft, the spin, how much it stops once it hits the green. But we'll see in the future if I choose to change that. But so far, if you are wondering, should I get the 1-length wedge as well? I think it's worth it. If you're gonna go for consistency with 1-length irons, it's probably worth just going all the way.
Well, especially with full shots, I would say.
Yeah.
Because this thing goes right down the line with your gap wedge, and then it's just I pick up the same club, get my distance there.
Yeah, and that's probably the major thing, right? Mm-hmm. So you still have the same consistency with full shots, But then, like I said near the beginning, it's also surprisingly good for chipping, and you feel like you have that control. So that was one of my major concerns. But once I started playing with it, that's no longer a concern of mine.
So one of the questions that I actually had, and I actually haven't asked Brady this, but because it's longer, you would have to stand a little bit further away typically than you would with like a normal 56 degree or something like that. And so, this is the first time I'm asking him this, but is that weird, being a little bit further away from the ball? Was that hard to get used to, especially like you're talking about in bunkers and chipping?
It was, and for like pitch shots too, because I was used to, so I currently play with a single plane golf swing, but I was used to bringing my legs in closer and having my trail leg or trail foot being a little bit farther up to kind of get that control on a pitch shot or a shorter shot. But I just do basically almost every time a regular 7-iron setup, and it feels fine. Like I said, I was shocked when I do a longer shot or a full swing, but once you get contact with the ball and you see the ball flight, it feels just like a wedge, which is surprising.
And that's probably the thing, if you bought the single length irons, you were buying them for consistency, and so why wouldn't you want to just stretch that consistency into a specialized wedge? That way you pick up the same club, and especially in Brady's case, he's doing the single plane golf swing, and so what's kind of cool, and actually one of the reasons why I kind of advocate for him having a wedge like this in his bag is whenever he picks up irons or wedges, it's the same setup every single time.
Yep.
The only time he has variables in his setup is when he gets to his woods and his driver. So that's basically it. So, as you realize with these, you can just eliminate variables. And so, I think that's just kind of the big strong point with this wedge. But, let us know down in the comments below, do you guys have a one-length wedge? Have you thought about it? Let us know your experiences down in the comments. If you still use traditional wedges like Brady had Vokies, let us know. And if you liked the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe. We upload golf content every week, and we'll see you next time.